Welcome to the Tesla Economist. Please hit the thumbs up and remember to subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon. What if we got this all wrong? I know we often talk about how legacy autos may very well go bankrupt, failing to transition to EVs. But what if what Tesla and Elon have done for legacy autos is offer them an opportunity into a new industry with an opportunity to make them a fortune? Going from the antiquated, poisoning, smelly internal combustion industry to the new, fast-growing future of transport, the electric vehicle industry. And these legacy auto brands may carry over to the other side. Well, at least some of them may. Except this new industry that legacy have the opportunity to enter, well, it's a much bigger industry. Just look at how the valuation of Tesla towers over the legacy autos. Even Rivian and Lucid got up there in valuation too at one stage. Not that they're particularly low even now, relative to their achievements. Yes, most of us realise that the likes of Rivian are valued too high, especially when you compare them to BYD or NIO, or even the quantity of EVs that Volkswagen are producing. And it's not like Rivian have some great competitive advantage to help them gain market share over time. The only thing they really have going for them over legacy is no unions and a small company size making it easier to grow. What is it that warrants such a high value on these other EV companies then? Well, the EV industry is much newer. In fact, it's in its embryonic stage when you compare it to the relative amount of vehicles there are in the world. Therefore, as it's so new, then we expect the technologies to still have lots of potential, namely referring to batteries, improving energy density whilst getting costs down, which will keep happening, especially when there is trillions of dollars behind it, and potentially the fate of the planet. What does this mean for legacy autos? They're currently contending with a highly profitable ICE business that will inevitably fail. It's quite the dilemma for them, but they've done their calculations too and expect that they can ride this ICE business still for some time. It's not hard for them to have worked out by now how terribly difficult it is to ramp up batteries and how long it will take. They think that even if everyone wants EVs, it doesn't make any difference if there aren't enough available. Therefore, people will still need to buy some sort of car, even if it's not electric. We've heard the legacy autos' absurd targets of how many EV units they plan on producing by, say, 2025. They're absurd in two ways. One being that the numbers are just so low, it won't really have any significant impact, and Tesla will be so far ahead by that stage. And secondly, it's absurd that legacy even think that they can reach these low targets. But they are spending money and investing like they think they can. Legacy have done their projections and think Tesla may only hit perhaps 3 or 4 million units globally by 2025. Wow, doesn't that sound low, just saying it? So Legacy aren't too worried yet perhaps. Maybe they think they have all this time still to sell their ICE cars. Except perhaps Tesla's adoption will be much faster, and perhaps they'll be producing a lot more than 3 or 4 million units by just 2025. And perhaps these units will also enter the robotaxi network. The robotaxi network may serve as the smooth transition for drivers to move from ICE to electric. It may serve as a necessary buffer of electric supply to meet the demand, particularly if a lot of ICE manufacturing has gone under, which might in turn take the full company down with them, like GM. GM is not one I have a lot of hope of making the transition from ICE to electric. It's a terrible brand that should have gone under a long time ago, or actually did. I don't think it has much left and nothing to put up against a fight with Tesla. GM will fail. Their attempts to transition seem futile. I mean, let's face it, Tesla is going to take a huge market share of the auto industry. I'm rethinking Tesla's market share these days as to what their actual market is, and I think it is miles travelled. Tesla want to have the largest market share of miles travelled. With robotaxis, Tesla could end up hitting a very high proportion of this market share. In addition to that, Tesla may be generating income from every mile too, whether through charging or FSD. Wow, Tesla has a lot of income potential. Tesla are going mainstream as possible per mile driven. Do you understand? Tesla is looking at the market share of miles driven each year, not new cars sold a year. Tesla want to replace as many ICE miles driven a year as possible, or remove them altogether. Tesla are going to be taking a lot of the industry though, even for new car sales too. If a consumer bought a Tesla, it means they didn't buy something else. These other brands will most likely not survive. Tesla will kill their profitable ICE business too early on, meaning they won't have the financial backing to continue their EVs. Alright, so back to the EV industry being a bigger, more profitable industry than ICE. Well, Tesla has demonstrated that this is much a possibility due to the high operating margins we've seen Tesla achieve, but it is unlikely that anyone else can ever become as profitable as Tesla. Not legacy, not the Chinese, and not any new EV startups. Tesla will be on top of the pedestal for quite some time when it comes to EVs. I can't see anyone else making a quicker, better handling EV, not to mention all the other associated Tesla features. Legacy autos are not going to be able to achieve that. Even if they sell their cars for twice as much as Tesla to afford all this extra equipment, Tesla will always win. I don't know, perhaps Ferrari or maybe even Porsche can really put together a high quality EV with great handling and engineering, but it's never going to beat Tesla on efficiency, implying the competition will always have to use more batteries to get the same results, which will end up affecting handling. I really don't know, even if Lamborghini or someone sold a $500,000 EV, how it could perform anywhere close to a Plaid. Therefore, no one will ever buy a legacy auto or any other EV on the market other than a Tesla for performance and handling, or safety too. Oh right, and technology and entertainment as well, and yes, the list goes on of reasons to buy a Tesla over everything else. But I'm trying to explore reasons to buy a legacy EV over a Tesla. I think the main reason will come down to wanting to be different. If everyone is driving, or being driven in, a Tesla, then there is no unique feeling of identity. This was the mistake Ford made. Once the automobile had become affordable to the masses, Henry Ford just kept on trying to get costs down further. But the consumer had moved on. The automobile was already affordable. The consumer wanted extra features, more luxury, and a vehicle that feels like an extension of themselves. If everyone has the same car, then that feeling has gone. There is definitely a market for people who want to stand out. I mean, there are people in the world who are buying a Taycan over a Plaid as we speak. The thing is that Tesla are going very mainstream, and for the time being, only going to continue two affordable models, thus offering very little variety. Therefore, it is up to Legacy to find these other niches of EVs that Tesla are leaving behind, and fill those gaps as soon as possible to build market share. Something similar to what Ford is doing with the F-150 Lightning in electric pickup trucks. Tesla are only taking a small portion of vehicle segments available to consumers, leaving a lot still out there. It is more in line with Tesla's mission to start getting the old, less fuel-efficient, more polluting vehicles off the road first, as they're doing more damage to the environment. This will be achieved with robotaxis. Tesla are not likely so concerned with the fact that the F-150 Lightning has a larger frunk than the Cybertruck. But Tesla has certainly shaken up the entire auto industry. They're making efforts and spending about half their market capitalization of their entire companies on growing out their EV business. Except they still think Tesla is their competition. They can't compete with Tesla. There is no point trying. They need to quickly find new markets that Tesla are not in. Of course, it will eventually be necessary for all Legacy's EVs to use Tesla's charging network and Tesla's FSD. It's just too much of a disadvantage if they don't. It will just take one legacy auto to see the light and suddenly have this huge advantage over all the other legacy autos that will all have no choice but to also adopt. Legacy have until the time their ICE business completely crashes and they have to start closing it down to sort out an affordable EV with reasonable range and still make a profit. My thoughts are that in a few years' time, there'll be battery packs available that will save them about $10,000 per vehicle that Legacy are currently paying. If Legacy raise the prices of their EVs by a few $1,000s, then this should be a net profit for them. At least with some more advances in technology, it could be possible for them. Legacy will have some demand. Teslas may either be too expensive, too long a waiting list, or all Teslas are earmarked for robotaxi network. Consumers by this stage understand the additional value in electric and realize the cost savings in fuel, and thus consumers are accepting to pay a few $1,000s extra to drive all electric, and realize the cost savings in fuel will cover the additional cost in just a few years, likely also accompanied by lower depreciation when compared to ICE, the largest cost of ownership. Perhaps after all this, Legacy are able to produce cars with about $3,000 net profit per vehicle. If they did manage to get to 2 million EV units a year, perhaps Volkswagen or someone, and it's become 100% electric, and all the ICE business has been converted into electric factories or closed down, then that's a net profit of $6 billion a year. This is, however, less than half of what Volkswagen profit currently, but they're still alive and made the transition. Except the thing is, Volkswagen did transition into a new industry, albeit an industry with many similarities, but a different industry nonetheless, where companies are also valued different. Volkswagen currently has a P/E ratio of 5. ICE is finished, the industry is shrinking. Now, although Volkswagen makes less profit in the EV industry than in the ICE industry, well, the thing is, they're now in an industry that might place a P/E ratio of 25 instead. You see, EVs is a new industry with more potential. It is also somewhat linked to the AV industry too, which is going to be enormous. The technologies are still new, and costs are expected to drop over time as product efficiencies improve, and thus Volkswagen may end up making $5,000 per vehicle over time. So if Volkswagen sold 2 million cars a year at $3,000 net profit per vehicle, then that is $6 billion a year. With a P ratio of 25, that's a valuation of $150 billion, about 40% higher than where Volkswagen valuation sits today, yet only selling 1/5 the amount of vehicles. That is how much more profitable the EV industry can become. Like a bricks and mortar store might have a P ratio of 10, if it transitioned to an e-commerce store, it might have a P ratio of 30. It has transitioned into a more valuable industry. Also similar to when every company was trying to market themselves as some sort of crypto or meta company. If they change the industry, then they change the PE and thus the valuation. There's a lot of money for legacy autos to make, but only if they can come out the other side. Thanks for listening. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon.